Hello, I'm Erica Narducci, the Program Director of Cancer Support Community Delaware. Today I'm going to share with you the development, delivery, content, and success of two educational series we are currently offering. These are In the Kitchen with Chef Jen and Wellness Workshops. The sessions for In the Kitchen with Chef Jen series were in May, phytochemicals and antioxidants, in June, plant-based meals, July, Mediterranean diet, and coming in August, meal prep. For the wellness workshops, which are being presented by a team of local physical therapists who work with oncology patients, the session topics were benefits of exercise in May, neuropathy in June, chemo-induced cognitive impairment in July, and coming in August, fatigue management. To develop both series, I utilized a very non-traditional intern for us. This individual was a grad student at University of Delaware with a Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences. And when she came to intern, she was completing her master's degree in health promotion. She came with a passion for helping others to achieve and maintain a healthy lifestyle, which was a perfect fit for our objectives here at Cancer Support Community Delaware as well. I proposed the idea of what I was looking for in these two educational series, and Kelsey, the intern, provided a few contacts she knew along with some I suggested. Then she reached out and the planning process was off and running. Kelsey came up with a basic outline of a 4-month series with some topic ideas, then set up meetings with the interested contacts. She worked with them both over Zoom and through emails to confirm dates, nail down the session topics, to review some of their content, and to decide how to best offer the series, which I'm going to talk more about later. Having this younger, dynamic, and creative person in charge of this project resulted in the sessions being relevant, interesting, and important topics, and a little bit different than what we'd offered here in the past. Kelsey and I spent time talking through the best way to deliver these classes. Would it be in person, Zoom, Facebook Live, hybrid? But we wanted a potential, reach our maximum potential. We also had discussions with the class instructors to ensure the delivery would be comfortable for them and for those that were going to attend the class. What we decided collaboratively was a little bit different for each series, but what was the same was that we decided to use Zoom instead of in person. This allowed us to offer the 3 sessions to all of our 3 locations throughout the state of Delaware. We also recognized we're entering summer months when many are traveling or have kids home for the summer. And we surmised we might have better attendance with Zoom, as participating virtually can be done virtually anywhere. For In the Kitchen with Chef Jen, we also utilized Facebook live stream. We've been using this method for program delivery for several classes since March of 2020. Many participants here use this as their preferred way of engaging with some of our classes. We also make the sessions available through a page on our Cancer Support Community Delaware website within a week of the session for those who don't use Facebook. The slides of Jen's presentation and the recipes were all provided to those who registered before the class. This was another task that the intern was very useful for. And anyone watching on Facebook was encouraged to email me and they could get the recipes by email. The class structure was Jen giving a short time of education on the topic, then a demonstration of 3 recipes using healthy ingredients she had just highlighted, and then a time of, we stopped the live stream, and then she had a time for discussion and questions with those on the Zoom call. The way we recorded stats was our virtual attendance was those in the Zoom meeting plus the number of people watching on Facebook Live. And then at the end of the month, our on-demand number was the amount of Facebook views minus those who were on the live call. And that's how we came up with that number. So we averaged our virtual attendance 16 and our on-demand attendance 36, which for us was fantastic. For the wellness workshop, they really benefited from the Zoom class delivery because the instructor would give a PowerPoint presentation. And we decided not to stream these classes to Facebook. We thought we felt this would allow our participants to feel more comfortable engaging in discussion and asking questions. And these topics really applied to them personally and were about their health. We did, however, record the sessions, and we stopped the recording before the final question and answer time at the end of the presentation. We then made the recording available to anyone who registered. This allowed those who attended to watch again if they wanted to kind of dig deeper into something they heard. Also, it allowed anyone who couldn't make it at the class time or maybe forgot that they had signed up for the class to actually watch the session. And the structure of the class was the presentation of the topic. And if anyone had questions along the way, they could put it in the chat box and I would ask the instructor to pause and answer the question. And then at the end, when we stopped the recording, we had a time for questions and discussions with those attending on Zoom with the instructor. The instructors were also great about providing resources and handouts for anyone who asked. So recording our stats was easy. The virtual attendance was those on Zoom, and our on-demand attendance was how many people watched the video. So for this one, we averaged 6 people in the virtual attendance and 15 for our on-demand, which again, for us was really great. So I'm going to share a short clip of each program so you can get a feel for what they were like. So here's In the Kitchen with Chef Jen.
Curcumin is another phytochemical that you might be aware of. It is found in turmeric. So turmeric comes in a couple different ways. It can come as the root or as the spice, the powdered spice, and we'll be using the powdered spice in this. So you can use it by itself. You could use it you'll find most of it in Indian cooking as well too. It's one of the many ingredients that make up curry powder. But it's also used as a natural food coloring. So if you look at maybe like some dog treats too, you'll see some turmeric added in there for color. You'll see it added in with other, items. I think there's some random stuff like turmeric might be in like your salad dressing or something to make it look just a little different color than what it is. It's also in mustard to give mustard more of a brighter color, because natural mustard is actually a little bit of a brownish. So, all in the perception, right? One of the things I did want to mention too is that curcumin has been researched very heavily, and that's the reason why I said you might recognize this curcumin or turmeric. Is that they've been looking to see how it can actually fight cancer itself. It says here that they've in one research found that it can disrupt like the chemo resistance of different cells. So making basically the chemotherapy work better so it can shrink the tumors and maybe hinder metastasis. So these are all things that you need to review with your doctor, again, before doing anything, adjustments to your diet. One way to enhance the absorption of this, to make sure that it really you absorb all of the good phytonutrients and all of those good properties that turmeric has, is that a quarter teaspoon to every tablespoon, quarter teaspoon of black pepper to every tablespoon of turmeric will help to encourage it be absorbed into our bodies. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general. Anywho, all right, get in there. Woo. All right, I am going to go ahead now and get my eggs ready for this. I'm gonna turn on the heat just a little bit. So I always recommend that whenever you're working with eggs, whether it's baking or you're putting it in your pancake mix or you're using it for eggs, always crack them in something else first, especially if you're baking, because sometimes you could get a little surprise of a double yolk and that'll totally mess up the recipe. And sometimes if you're like me, I'm not the perfect cracker and I usually get shells in there. And so I always have to pick out my shells. And it's easier to pick out the shells from a separate dish than trying to fish them out of here, right?
So here's a little look at our wellness workshop board. All right, so we are recording again. Welcome to our presentation on neuropathy. It is my pleasure to introduce Brenda Crowley, She works with specialty rehab as an occupational therapy assistant who gives treatments to individuals. She is also their director of business and program development. So Brenda, without further ado, I will turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming to this presentation. I'm assuming that some of you are either patients yourselves, survivors yourself, or you are caregivers. And we're going to talk today about chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy in survivorship. I'm going to refer to it as CIPN, which you may have heard before. Just this chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy is a mouthful. So we're going to proceed. So what can you expect to learn today from this little presentation? You're going to learn a little bit about what causes CIPN. You'll be able to recognize the signs and symptoms. You will learn how it may impact your function. And we're going to give you some evidence-based strategies that you can take away from today and begin to use. And we're going to keep you safe. So what is CIPN? It's the second most common effect of chemotherapy. It results in an inflammation or injury or degeneration of the peripheral nerves. So what exactly does that mean? We have nerve endings that run all over our body. The ones that are impacted with chemotherapy are the ones at the ends of our fingertips and our toes. And the result of the chemotherapy drug causes inflammation and injury to those nerves, which we'll talk a little bit more about later.
So what we see as the success of these programs that we did was, first of all, using an intern took a lot of time-consuming work off of my plate. And having the intern brought in some really relevant classes and a fresh perspective on education. That intern learned some really invaluable skills. She was hired for a position right upon graduation, and I believe the primary reason she got the job she did was because of the work she did with us and creating these programs. Also, Cancer Support Community Delaware has 3 locations throughout the state of Delaware, 1 office in each county, and we were able to reach all 3 of these offices very easily, also very cost effectively with little to no expense. I'm happy to talk to you more about our programming or answer any questions you might have, or brainstorm with you about how similar programming might work at your affiliate. Feel free to contact me at Cancer Support Community Delaware by email or phone, or find me here at the Affiliate Leadership Conference.